it does. Hello YouTubers, you're back here, Chevron, and I'm going to be bringing to you my prediction for the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG ban list for the January 2020. So with this ban list, I'm more focused on the current top decks. I won't be covering too much of the rogue decks, but I will be covering some of the tier 2 decks that will be pretty creeped in power, depending on how much the top decks get hit and what gets left untouched. Because as always, if top decks get hit too hard and a rogue deck has like Thunder Dragons for say gets left untouched, it could easily make them the top deck and they can easily creep back into the meta in a tier 1 contender. Because when Orcust, if say right now Thunder Dragon's biggest threat is Orcust has such an easy time to be such an easy way to deal with the Thunder Dragon matchup. But if they got hit too hard and Thunder Dragons get left untouched, you could definitely be seeing Thunder Dragons being the next deck to beat, because they're so generically strong when it comes to locking other decks out of the game and having that big advantage of their boss monster being so hard to deal with, and then having a great effect of stopping your opponent from being able to add from their deck to hand. So yeah, let's get started on this ban list. So first up, I want to be talking about the current Sky Striker situation of the deck being way too splashable and pretty much all the top decks being able to splash Sky Striker tech into the deck, being say Orcust, Salamangreats, and now Endymions are also jumping onto this bandwagon. So pretty much you run like 3 copies of Engage, 1 Hornet Drones, Widow Anchor, and a Shark Cannon. The issue of this lineup is for Orcust, easy access to the Orcust play, also being able to search out like the Widow Anchor for interruption play, or just turning off a monster on the field to, like, say your opponent's open an Appaloosa, you just engage for the Widow Anchor, turn the Appaloosa off, and then you just freely make Orcust play after that. Salamangreats, it's just being able to get that free draw 1, and same story as Orcust, searching out key cards to deal with certain situations. And Kagari is a fire type, so after they make their Bailings, they can use Sky Strikers that way and use the Kagari and the Bailings to go on Sunlight Wolf and continue on their play that way. And just Endymions engage plus servant means nuts board, and you can usually make it's pretty easy board for Endymions that way. And being able to have an easy access to make a board without actually using pendulums, I think is pretty crazy as well. But for hitting Sky Strikers, I think all that really needs to happen is just Hornet Drone just gets banned, because it will stop the whole splash tech from being so easily to use, and then that way use it. So with you can still play pure Sky Strikers, it will still be a strong deck. But I do recommend, not really recommend, but I do think if they hit Sky Strikers any more than the Hornet Drones, put Engage to 2, and I think that'll be enough to slow the deck down to keep it in check for the meta to move on forward. So that is my opinion on Sky Strikers, and I'll leave it at that, and I'll quickly move on to the next one. So not only Sky Strikers is very powerful in Orcust on their own is a very powerful deck as well. Dingirisu's support was amazing for Orcust. His ability to save the whole board up to twice per turn, and then just being able to send anything on special summon. Orcust pretty much has it all. They have speed 3 negation. They can play on their turn plus their opponents due to Babel making all Orcust effects quick play. But to hit Orcust without killing the deck, that's the question that's been raised to me a fair few times now. I see Konami with TCG either following the OCG ban list, semi-limiting Harp Horror and Galatea can be a good idea. It will affect their consistency of small touch, and then only having access to 2 Galatea can really injure the deck when it comes to the grind game, because that third Galatea will actually become a big factor when the game starts prolonging that long. And then my other thought was maybe putting Dingirisu to 1. That way, if you deal with the first one, your Orcust player will have to rely off the skeleton to keep recycling the Dingirisu. They'll no longer be able to get the easy special summon of the second one to get a free send or rebuild their board. But I feel like that could be too hard of a hit at the moment. putting Dingirsu to 1, it could actually completely kick Orcust out of the meta, but that is my opinion, because say if Dingirsu gets striked or you're running into like a back row deck, your Dingirsu is pretty much gone forever if that happens, because you will no longer be able to special summon it because it wasn't never successfully special summoned correctly from the extra deck. So that is my reason why it could be too much of a hit to be touching Dingirsu now, but I definitely think Harp Horror and Galatea could be the right hit. Just follow OCG with that and it'll be pretty safe that way. So with Salman grades, even with Gazelle and Circle being at 1, they are still proving that they are a deck to be feared, being able to top 8 at big events like YCS still, and causing a bit of discussion online and at locals, at my locals, about how's Konami going to hit Salman grades without completely killing the deck. So keep in mind, 2 of their big cards are already at 1, so what else can you hit in Salads without actually putting them to the dirt, as you can say? So with cards that aren't currently being shown are Foxy, Spinny, and Flame Buffalo that you can end up semi-limiting to be able to slow down the consistency of Salads a little bit, so that they don't have that big spike while other decks getting hit on the ban list. But these 3 cards I currently have shown are pretty much factors I think that they can hit without completely destroying what the deck's meant to do. The first one is Baylings. They can limit or semi-limit Baylings. So limiting Baylings would mean if your first Baylings gets Ash, it will make getting Salman Great Sanctuary a big problem, because you won't be able to try and get it again your next turn. You end up having to either hard find it or sending it off the Gazelle and having to try and set it off the Falco or adding it to your hand with Sunlight Wolf. Another factor is if you semi or semi-limit Baylings, it will stop them from being able to consistently see the board destruction or battle destruction on Salman Great cards on the field pretty much every turn for the first 3 turns. So that is a big factor to their board, being able to save key cards to be able to do big plays back when it comes back to their turn. Another factor I started thinking about was Will of the Salman Great. It is a card that gets played out 3 a lot now. It helps fix consistency issues, being able to just special whatever Salman Great target from your grave back onto the field to be able to open up easy first turn plays and just being able to get that second level 3 on the field to get the Mystalio effect going off, to also having easy access to your Gazelle and getting your board set up that way. So maybe a semi-limit on Will, just so to make it a bit harder for that consistency to happen. Maybe you could see Will and Baylings or Will and Flame Buffalo getting semi-limited to stop the consistency there. Another big thing I was thinking about was Sunlight Wolf getting semi-limited. It will force a Salman Great player to have to consistently shuffle back Sunlight Wolf off the Jack Jaguar if they wanted to have access to the reset effect, because if you, after your first turn, once you go into your first and relink into the second to be able to start setting your Salman Great spells and traps for free, when it comes back to yours, you won't have that easy third target to go into, so you would have to spend 2 turns to be able to do that again, because you would have to shuffle 2 Sunlight Wolves back into the extra deck to be able to start doing that again. So I think just putting Sunlight Wolf at 2 could just be the right hit. You'll definitely slow down the grind power of Salads, because they have to spend 2 turns to be able to get their board back on track with the double Sunlight Wolf. But what Konami does, not too sure, but that was just my opinion. I just think Sunlight Wolf's the right hit for the deck if they plan just to keep all the top decks in check. So yeah, that's me done for them. But for my next one, some people might not agree about hitting them, but I feel like they definitely going to need to be kept in check if they plan to hit all the top decks, which is Thunder Dragons. I definitely feel like Thunder Dragons definitely need to be kept in check if they plan to do a soft hit to all decks, because Thunder Dragons is still a strong deck. They just have a very bad time in the current meta due to the fact Orcust is such a big part of the pretty much any competitive play, and Orcust just have a straight out easy. It's just an unfair matchup for Thunder Dragons, really. Orcust gets around everything they do. They don't actually add from deck to hand. Everything just either gets milled from the deck or special summoned directly from the deck, or so what Colossus does, it stops adding, but you can still draw, and that's pretty much what Orcust does. They have return that gives you the draw too, but another thing that's a big issue for the Thunder Dragon matchup into Orcus is the fact Ingrusu gets around Colossus and Thunder Dragon Titan so easily. So I feel like if Orcus gets hit, it is safe to say that Thunder Dragons need to have a check somewhere, and I feel like the best thing to do is probably just follow the OCG ban list and just semi-limit either Thunder Dragon Dark or Thunder Dragon Raw, maybe both, just to slow down the consistency a little. I do have another hit on this list for Orcus and Thunder Dragons that you'll be seeing next. Because of that, I just feel like this is all you really need to do. It's just these two cards, and Thunder Dragons should be kept in check enough that it won't be too much of a power creep for them when other decks do get hit. But for the next set, it's pretty much going to be following OCG. I felt like when I saw their ban list, it is the right thing to do in TCG, but it's pretty much Azathoth being banned, and Allure of Darkness and Mind Control definitely taking a hit. So Mind Control has been a very big power card for your going second tactic. It is a very unfair card for a lot of decks, but because there's a lot of unfair things in Yu-Gi-Oh at the moment, there's a lot of strong cards, but Mind Control just gets around a lot of those very strong cards. So you have Dingrusu, you have Thunder Dragons, you have a lot of things, you have Sky Strikers, they all fear Mind Control. Mind Control is a straight out to them, and then you just link away so that you don't have to worry about them getting their card back. For Azathoth, I think Azathoth definitely needs to be on the ban list. It's a very easy out to a lot of hand traps. Even going second play, you turn off all the effects of your opponent's monsters, and then usually they can't do anything to respond to anything you do, and you can get an easy OTK. It should stop Lunalights from being able to abuse Azathoth to play the Orcus lineup. So I think Lunalights don't really need to be hit, just getting rid of Azathoth, and that problem should be solved. And then for, say, Crusadia, I think Crusadia, yes, I'm talking about Crusadia, can be a very dangerous deck if they are, because I don't think anything in their deck would be hit at all. I just think the top decks need to be touched, but getting rid of Azathoth would be a right hit, because you pretty much keep Crusadia in check, because they won't be able to do the Azathoth play to get the easy OTK that way. And Azathoth is just a very big card for any of your level 4 decks, and yeah, I definitely think Azathoth does deserve to be on the ban list. It's just a very big power play for that turn, and it's very unfair for a lot of decks. So Allure of Darkness is what I mentioned before about another card being hit for Orcus and Thunder Dragons. I think Allure going back to 201 for the TCG is going to be a correct hit, because it's definitely going to keep Thunder Dragons in check from being able to not see that consistency of the free draw and just banish the Thunder Dragon to get a Thunder Dragon effect. And then it'll stop other dark decks like Orcus if they choose to try and play Allure. Depending on how hard they get hit, they can fall off onto Allure and the Thunder Dragon line, or not Thunder Dragon, and the the Danger lineup to be able to keep their consistency up that way. So I definitely think Allure should be kept in check for to stop that from happening. And yeah, for Mind Control, it really needs to be checked for those going second decks. Sky Strikers most likely will still be big because they're still getting support, so I definitely don't think they're going to be getting cut yet. And Mind Control is just going to be a very big play for their going second strategy, and a lot of other decks that can abuse Mind Control out there. So that is pretty much my view on what should happen on the ban list, my prediction. Let me know if you guys have any other cards that I did not mention that should be deserved on the ban list, and if there's anything you guys think that I've missed that are being released that should be put on the ban list as well. There is Tenka coming. They do look insane. Maybe Fire Formation needs to be kept in Tenki needs to be kept in check to stop their consistency, but with Orcus around, it could hold Tenka back a fair bit. I don't think they're going to be too crazy straight away. They don't get their main big support until after the Ignition Assault set, same as at Ignista. So like I said before, I don't think any cards to have anything to do with them should be touched yet. But again, that is my prediction. Let me know how you guys feel about it, and if you have any other suggestions that should be on the list. And again, that's me out. And if you guys like the video, please leave a like and subscribe. It will help me greatly, and you guys will be definitely be seeing me again next time. See you guys. Does